"Hey, new girl," Logan called out, chuckling. "Wanna spar?" The room laughed with him. The sound was loud, careless, like the kind of laughter that comes not from humor, but hierarchy. Amara looked up calmly. Her hands paused mid-rap. Her eyes, rich and steady, didn't flinch. "You sure?" she said, voice light, but firm. "Wouldn't want to mess up that perfect jawline." That line struck like a jab to the ego. The room went still for a beat, then scattered chuckles broke through. Logan grinned wider, misreading the moment entirely. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by someone he'd already decided was beneath him. "Come on," he said with a smirk, "what's the worst that could happen?" He didn't know he was about to find out. Amara stood up slowly, rolling her shoulders. Her black tank top clung to muscle, not decoration. She moved like someone who didn't just work out, she trained. Years of discipline shaped every motion. Her braids swung behind her like battle ropes as she walked toward the mat. Coach Rami, leaning against the wall, raised an eyebrow. He knew Logan's type, showy, reckless, disrespectful. And now, he was poking a storm he didn't understand. "You serious?" Rami asked. Logan shrugged. "Just a friendly round." Amara slid on her gloves, tightening the Velcro with smooth, practiced movements. She nodded once to Coach Rami, who rang the bell. The room crowded around the mat, the energy shifting. Phones came out. Whispers filled the air. Everyone expected a mismatch, a spectacle. Amara wasn't smiling. She wasn't angry either. She was focused. Still. Balanced like water just before it starts to boil. Logan bounced on his heels, throwing a few lazy feints for show. He looked at his friends and winked. Then he lunged. A wide right hook cut through the air, and met nothing. Amara had already pivoted. She was behind him before his foot landed. Tap. A soft jab to his ribs. Logan spun, startled, trying again, this time faster. A quick 1-2 combo. A low kick. More serious now. But Amara flowed like wind through trees. Duck. Slip. Counter. She moved like rhythm. Like someone who had trained not for moments, but for meaning. Then, with flawless timing, she swept his legs. The black belt hit the mat hard. The gym gasped. Amara stood over him, offering no smugness, just stillness. "You tapped yet?" she asked. Logan blinked, speechless. "And the gym?" Silent. Logan pushed himself up, cheeks flushed, not just from the fall, but from the wave of embarrassment rolling over him. This wasn't how the story usually went. His eyes darted around. Phones were still filming. His fan club. Now stunned silent. He forced a laugh and got back on his feet, brushing off his GI. "Lucky sweep," he said. "Let's go again. This time I'm ready." Amara tilted her head, breathing calm and steady. She hadn't broken a sweat. "Your ego might need more warm-up than your body," she said quietly. Coach Rami, still watching from the edge of the mat, called out, "Keep it controlled, Logan. This is still sparring, not a grudge match." Logan nodded, but his face said otherwise. His pride had been cracked open in front of everyone. Now he was here to prove something, though he wasn't sure what, or to whom. The bell rang again. This time, Logan came in sharp. No more playing. He launched a high kick, followed by a jab aimed at Amara's head. She slipped both with ease, circling with perfect balance. Her eyes never left him. He came again, this time with a flurry. Left. Right. Elbow. Knee. But Amara was a storm inside a still lake. She absorbed the energy, then redirected it. With a low duck, she closed the distance, landed a body shot, and spun out before he could touch her. The sound of her glove hitting his ribs echoed across the room. Not brutal, just surgical. The gym was no longer whispering. Now they were watching. Really watching. Amara didn't move like someone trying to win. She moved like someone teaching a lesson, with her fists. Logan hesitated now. His footwork, once flashy and confident, had lost rhythm. He was reacting, not leading. And that's when Amara struck again, a lightning-quick leg hook that swept him off balance a second time. Down he went. Hard. This time, the fall didn't look like a fluke. It looked like what it was, mastery. Amara stepped back, giving him space. "You good?" she asked, tone soft but undeniably dominant. Logan sat up, chest heaving. He nodded slowly, the fire in his eyes extinguished, not by pain, but realization. Coach Rami called it. That's it. End of round. No one clapped. No one cheered. The room was too stunned. But something had shifted. Respect had entered the ring, and it wore braids, black gloves, and a stare that didn't blink. Amara didn't raise her fists or celebrate. She just walked off the mat. She wasn't there to win a spar. She was there to make a statement. And she had. The locker room was nearly empty now, filled only with the hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional distant thud from the training floor. Amara sat on the wooden bench, slowly unwrapping her gloves. Her knuckles were red but steady. Her breathing calm. She wasn't replaying the fight, she didn't need to. That wasn't the real battle. Coach Rami entered quietly, a bottle of water in one hand, a towel in the other. He sat on the bench across from her, leaning forward with that same unreadable expression he always wore when he was processing something unexpected. "You've fought before," he said, not as a question, but a knowing observation. Amara nodded once. 10 years, she replied. Muay Thai and BJJ. Fought amateur in New Orleans till my mom got sick. Rami handed her the water. That explains the footwork. And the discipline. She gave a small smile. Can't afford to fight messy when life's already throwing punches. He chuckled at that, then grew quiet. "I've seen a lot of fighters come through here," he said. "But what you showed out there, that wasn't just training. That was composure. Like you weren't fighting Logan. You were proving something else." Amara stared down at her wraps, twisting them gently in her hands. "I wasn't trying to prove anything," she said, voice quieter now. "I've already done that. I've walked into places where I was underestimated, ignored, disrespected, just because of how I look. I'm used to it. What I'm not used to is needing to shout to be seen." She paused, then looked up. "My mom used to say, make them listen without ever raising your voice. So I trained like that. Fought like that. Lived like that." Rami nodded slowly, clearly moved. Amara leaned back against the wall, her eyes distant now. "The streets I grew up on didn't have coaches or mats or padding. Just concrete. And fear. You learn fast what real strength means when you don't have the privilege of walking away." She wasn't bragging. She was remembering. "Logan was never the fight," she continued. "He just reminded me of the world that still thinks power looks a certain way, loud, tall, white, male. But real power," she added, "it doesn't yell. It doesn't posture. It just moves. Clean. Sharp. Unapologetic." Rami smiled, standing to leave. "You planning to compete?" Amara shrugged, then smirked. "Let's see if the world's ready." As the door closed behind him, she looked at her hands, scarred, calloused, and capable. They weren't made just to fight. They were made to change what a fighter looked like. The next evening at Iron Core Dojo felt different. The thudding of punches, the rhythmic sound of gloves hitting pads, it was all the same. But the energy in the room had shifted. Conversations were quieter. Glances toward the far mat lingered longer. Respect now walked the floor in silence. Amara was already warming up. Wearing a black sleeveless hoodie and training shorts, she moved through her drills like a machine tuned for grace, shadowboxing, pivots, heel slides. Every punch cut through the air with intent, not anger. Every breath was measured. She wasn't trying to prove herself. She was simply training like she always had, disciplined, grounded, focused. Then came the footsteps behind her. She felt them before she turned. It was Logan. His posture was different now. No swagger. No smirk. Just a man holding something heavier than pride, humility. He cleared his throat, stopping a few feet from her. "Hey," he said softly. Amara didn't stop moving. She finished her last combo, exhaled, then turned to face him. "I just wanted to say," Logan began, then hesitated. His gaze dropped for a second before meeting hers again. "I was out of line. Yesterday." The gym around them kept moving, but this small moment, this circle of silence, felt protected from it all. "I've been here for years," he continued, "and I thought I knew what I was doing. But you," he let out a breath, half laugh, half regret. "You didn't just beat me. You exposed me. And I deserved it." Amara said nothing, but the tension in her shoulders softened. Logan took a step closer. "Would you," he paused, awkward. "Would you train with me sometime?" Now she smiled, just a little. "You mean not go easy on me this time?" Logan gave an embarrassed chuckle. "Yeah, that." She nodded once. "Sure. As long as you're ready to get better." From the corner of the room, Coach Rami watched the exchange quietly. He didn't interfere. He didn't need to. Moments like these weren't taught in classes. They were earned. Logan and Amara moved to a side mat. This time, no phones came out. No one whispered. The dojo, in its unspoken way, had acknowledged the new hierarchy. Not one built on belts, but on character. Amara wasn't just the girl who surprised the gym. She was now the fighter others looked to for discipline, calm, and control. And Logan? He wasn't just the guy who lost a spar. He became the guy who learned from it. 2 months later, Iron Core Dojo was buzzing with a different kind of excitement. Amara's name, King, was on the fight bracket for the state martial arts qualifiers. No hype, no big entrance. Just sharp gloves, a tighter braid, and the same calm expression she'd worn the day Logan mocked her. She entered the competition under the radar. No coach boasted about her. No banners waved her name. But round after round, Amara dismantled every opponent in her path. With every fight, the crowd leaned in a little closer. In the semi-finals, she faced a champion from a rival gym, a fighter who had never been taken down. But by the second round, Amara's surgical low kick followed by a pivoted elbow had him stunned. He tapped moments later. Coach Rami, now officially in her corner, didn't say much between rounds. He knew Amara didn't need motivation. She needed space. She had always found her power in silence. And now, that silence was commanding attention. The final bout came. A crowd gathered. Opposing coaches whispered. "Who is she? Where did she come from?" She came from discipline. From struggle. From being overlooked. And now, all eyes were locked on her. The final fight lasted 3 rounds. Her opponent was aggressive, flashy, and brutal, but Amara's defense was poetry. She absorbed every strike like she had absorbed judgment for years, with grace, with fire just beneath the surface. Then, just like with Logan, she swept him. The crowd erupted. When her hand was raised, Amara didn't lift her arms. She simply nodded once and stepped down from the mat. Victory wasn't new. It was just finally seen. Later, under the lights of the awards ceremony, Amara stood tall in her GI, the gold medal around her neck gleaming under the spotlight. Reporters rushed forward. "Where have you trained before? Who taught you to fight like that? Why haven't we heard of you?" Amara smiled. "I've always been here. Some of you just weren't looking." A nearby camera caught her next words, the ones that would go viral within hours. "Don't judge who's in the ring by who you expected. Judge them by how they move once the bell rings." That quote was painted on the gym wall at Iron Core a week later. Not long after, she returned to the dojo. No applause. No drama. Just students waiting quietly for her to teach. And Logan? He was one of the first to show up. Not as a black belt. But as a student again. Because Amara King wasn't just a fighter. She was a movement. A message. And the gym? It had been silenced once. But now, it was finally listening.